The Arizona Cardinals are now sitting third in the NFC West after a loss against the Seattle Seahawks, 28-21. Now, diving into this game here, there was some good things that I want to talk about, but there was a lot of bad things that I also want to emphasize. Guys, let's go ahead and dive into it here shortly. Let's go ahead and roll that intro. Alright guys, welcome back into another video of the Arizona Sports Fan. Thank you so very much for stopping by. I really do appreciate it. Now I wanted to talk about post reaction to the Arizona Cardinals Seattle Seahawks Thursday night football game. Obviously a loss to the Arizona Cardinals, losing 28-21. Now the Arizona Cardinals are now sitting third in the division when we had the first spot for about 4 days. Now, it was short-lived. It felt good for those 4 days, but now we're going back to reality here, and now we're sitting number 3. But sitting at 6-4 is not that bad. We have 6 games left in the season. Let's see how it all shakes out. But before we get started, let's go ahead and do our quick due diligence. If you're new, please consider subscribing to the AZ Sports Fan on YouTube. We do a lot of good things here: reactions, post-games, pre-games, lives. Make sure you put that post notification bell on, as well as subscribe to the channel. We're trying to hit 5,000 subscribers by the end of the season. Let's see if we can go ahead and hit that goal. Without further ado, let's go ahead and just jump right into it here. The Arizona Cardinals obviously coming off a loss, and what I like to say is in a typical Thursday night football fashion. Now, if you're going to ask me, what are you talking about? What does that mean? In my opinion, this game was bad from the beginning, especially that first half. This game was penalized like I haven't seen penalties in a very, very long time. Now, at this point right now, I'm not saying the Arizona Cardinals lost because of penalties. No, I'm not saying that. Penalties were being put on both teams. The Seattle Seahawks were getting questionable calls. The Cardinals were getting questionable calls. At this point, it just seemed like a uncoordinated team from the jump. And by that, I mainly mean the offense of the Arizona Cardinals. We couldn't get going at all. Right now, I think we're sitting with, I think it was less than 60 yards total in rushing from Chase Edmonds, Kenyon Drake, and even Kyler Murray. Now, if you were to tell me right now, looking at the stats for this game for the Arizona Cardinals, the best offense going against the probably one of the worst ranked defenses in the NFL, and we put out a performance like this, it's really questionable. I don't really know what the game plan is for Cliff Kingsbury coming into this game here. Now, I get it. We only had 4 days, to prepare for this game. And also on top of that, Kyler Murray did look hurt. His shoulder seemed to have been, landed on from a sack. He wasn't playing very, very, aggressive throughout the entirety of the game. Was that the problem? Probably. Who knows? But honestly, the 4-day, preparation for Thursday night football is the same thing that the Seattle Seahawks ended up going through as well. So to use that as an excuse, I hate that excuse. I'm not going to use that at all. I would go ahead and probably just give it to Kyler Murray, being that he was hurt, because honestly I do think that he was not feeling very well throughout the game after that sack that he ended up getting against one of the Seattle Seahawks defensive players. Let's talk a little bit about the defense here, and then we'll move on to the offense. As far as defense goes, we're seeing the same thing that happens time and time again throughout the entirety of this 2020 season. We're seeing a defense that's very, very inconsistent. We can have a game that we have multiple interceptions. We're maybe like, oh, man, we might be doing good. We might be getting better. We might be getting into the groove of things. But every time we have another game, it seems like this defense just does not show up. Like, the inconsistency is really real on this team, and it's really frustrating. It's getting to the point where you're saying to yourself is like, we're just so undisciplined in what we're doing here. Now, one of the most exciting things here is that Isaiah Simmons did end up getting a start. We ended up seeing him, and so we got really excited about that. I think he was probably one of the highlights of the defense here. Isaiah Simmons' stats ended up getting like 9 solo tackles and 1 sack. Now, when I saw that sack, I was really excited for him. Awesome. Good up-and-coming player here. He's a rookie. Obviously, he's got some stuff to definitely learn, but I'm really happy with the performance that he ended up putting here on Thursday Night Football. Another highlight on the defense is probably going to be Byron Murphy, as well as obviously Budda Baker. He's always showing up time and time again. I love those guys, and hopefully they can keep balling for us. One other thing that I wanted to bring up here is the defensive line that we have here within the Arizona Cardinals defense here. We are now starting to feel the absence of Corey Peters as well as Chandler Jones. It's getting to the point where any quarterback that is playing against this defensive line, it seems to have a lot of time in the pocket. Like I said in one of my live streams here, like they have enough time to build a house. And obviously, like I'm exaggerating there, but they easily have 4 to 5 seconds in the pocket. And if you give a quarterback that much time, they're going to find an open receiver in a heartbeat. And that's one of the biggest problems that we have here. The pressure, the inconsistency of getting to the quarterback is kind of questionable. And now, like I said, I'm not blaming Vance Joseph at all. I'm getting to the point where I think the players at this point need to get more of a mindset and being more aggressive and try to run to the ball and get the sacks that we all need them to get. We're getting to the point right now of if this lack of pressure that we keep getting here, this is probably going to be the weakest point that we have from this team moving forward, and it's going to probably stop us from either hitting playoffs or going deep into like a playoff run. So this defense really needs to step it up completely big time. One big play here that I wanted to mention on the defensive side of the ball that seemed to kind of shift the momentum of this game. Now, I never felt like the Arizona Cardinals had a lead in this game at all. Like the way we were playing offensively, the way we were playing defensively, the Seattle Seahawks always seemed to have the lead in this game specifically. But there was one play that sticks in my mind here. It seemed to shift the momentum of this game. Now, we ended up stopping the Seattle Seahawks from converting a first down. And I think Tyler Lockett ended up, he got his leg rolled up, and there was a skirmish, a fight ended up occurring with DK Metcalf, their wide receiver, and Dre Kirkpatrick. This play right here, this sequence of what exactly happened, Dre Kirkpatrick and DK Metcalf obviously got into it. A lot of words were going back and forth. There was a punch swung on. I think DK Metcalf swung on him, but the call for the referees ended up being that it was a penalty, 15 yards for taunting from Dre Kirkpatrick. Now, I'm not giving Dre Kirkpatrick a pass here at all. He's 110% in the wrong in what he did to this Arizona Cardinals, defense and what he caused them. Because at this point, we could have allowed a field goal if their kicker made a field goal. But instead, they ended up getting a touchdown. So that ended up turning the game over to a 23-14 lead Seahawks instead of having a 19-14 lead if they ended up converting that field goal as well. So this was a huge momentum shift in the game here. Now, I obviously felt like if the penalty went against the Seattle Seahawks and they got pushed back, then that would be a big momentum swing for the Cardinals. But it didn't turn out that way. Dre Kirkpatrick ended up getting the penalty for taunting, and this changed the game dramatically. Now, I do not understand why Dre Kirkpatrick felt like he couldn't let this go. I think Marcus Golden was the one holding him back and telling him, hey, calm down, be smart. Hey, calm down, be smart. But the truth of the matter here is that Dre Kirkpatrick pretty much lost this game in the entirety. If I was going to go ahead and wrap this game in a nutshell and put a bow on it, this game was lost because Dre Kirkpatrick could not control his temper. I already hear it. We hear a lot of people in the comments, multiple people saying, drop Kirkpatrick, release Kirkpatrick. Now, if it's going to happen, I don't know. But the situation that we're in right now for the Arizona Cardinals, we are in no shape, no way, form ready to drop a Dre Kirkpatrick right now. If I were to give him a rating on a scale between 1 and 10 as a DB, I probably would say maybe a 5 or 6. But if you look behind Dre Kirkpatrick, we only have 3s and 4s. So we're nowhere near, ready for something like that. Like, we're nowhere prepared. We're only hurting the Arizona Cardinals defense if we did something like that. Now, I obviously want him to get, either penalized or disciplined, and whatever the Arizona Cardinals decide to do at this point, to Dre Kirkpatrick, I'm all in for. But we're not in a situation that we can cut Dre Kirkpatrick. It's just, we're not in that situation at all. I'm kind of stuck right now in this situation. Now, a lot of people might have said, why didn't we make a trade in the trade deadline? Your question is as good as mine. I have no clue why we didn't try to target Desmond King. I get why we didn't go for Stephon Gilmore, because I think the Patriots wanted to get like a lump sum, a ransom of picks. And the Arizona Cardinals, it was just too rich for the Arizona Cardinals blood, and I completely get that one. But for somebody like Desmond King, I have no clue why the Cardinals didn't pursue it. Let's switch our attention here over to the offensive side of the ball here. I think that overall Kyler Murray did have a pretty decent game. Not great, not extravagant, but if he was playing with a hurt arm, I still think that he did pretty well. Now, like I said, we got to give kudos to Dan Arnold. He ended up getting a receiving touchdown for us. Chase Edmonds ended up getting a receiving touchdown for us, as well as Kenyon Drake ended up getting a rushing touchdown. So kudos to those guys putting us on the board. It just overall seemed like our running game overall seemed bad. Like, I don't know why our game plan wasn't to run the ball down the throats. Don't understand why. I think an accumulation of Chase Edmonds, Kenyon Drake, and Kyler Murray, we had like less than 60 yards rushing or maybe a little over. But regardless, for 3 players only having 60 yards is really concerning and really weird to see that type of thing, especially if you're looking at this game in a nutshell saying, oh, the best ranked offense versus one of the worst ranked defenses. You would honestly think that the Arizona Cardinals would have their way with the Seattle Seahawks defense. Now, I get the sense that, you know, we're NFC West rivals. We know each other back and forth. We get what we do. I get that aspect. So that might play into effect a lot more than we all think. But the truth of the matter here is that we've seen an offense that was really uncoordinated. They couldn't get it together again. Another slow start. Penalties after penalties on the offensive line for holding, false starts, just a lot of dumb stuff like that, shooting ourselves in the foot time and time again. If the Arizona Cardinals want to make a big playoff push, this is something that they need to fix and need to clean up. Now, we've been saying this from the beginning of the season, and we're seeing it still time and time again where the offensive line jumps. They're not getting the communication down with Kyler Murray. Like I feel like if they would just get together and communicate, and if Kyler Murray said, hey, give me a second, I'm going to try to see if we can get them to jump, and then have them stay still until they snap the ball. I just don't understand it. Like, I really don't get why it's so uncoordinated for the offensive to get it right and to start off hot. We didn't get it going until probably, you know, the second half in this game. Obviously, the Seattle Seahawks kept, you know, get this game on their side. Like, the momentum has always been on the Seahawks side. Got a lead in this game, so it honestly always felt like the game was going to be won by the Seattle Seahawks. They just overall came out to play. Their defense made those 1 or 2 plays that was very, very important. Our defense didn't. That's the truth of the matter here. Our defense needs to step up. So is our offense. I'm not going to sit here and say our offense did wonderful. I'm not going to say that at all. It took too long for them to get going. So, guys, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. That's pretty much this game in a nutshell. It was really kind of hard to watch. It was a typical Thursday night football game in a nutshell. Many penalties, many questionable calls. Took forever to get some offense going. It was really frustrating to see, especially as an Arizona Cardinal fan. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below, though. Don't forget to drop a like on this video. And if you're new, please consider subscribing to the AZ Sports Fan on YouTube, guys. But that's all I got for this episode. Thank you so very much, and I am out. Thank you.